Hi there, this is Chris from the NUI Galway Library's Academic Skills team. This is a video. We're going to go through some examples of attempts to paraphrase from an original source. So this is a bit of a longer video than some of the other ones we've got, but bear with me. I think it's a good idea to have a look at some examples to see where one can go wrong with paraphrasing and wind up in a situation of there being an issue with the originality or with plagiarism. Have a look at this first example here. I'll give you a few seconds to have a look at that and think about it. Okay, so I think this one is reasonably straightforward. So we've got the original source up there. It's from SparkNotes, which is an online source, and then there's a sentence from that source. And so we've got an imaginary student here we're going to be working with. Sam the student writes pretty much the same thing. So what Sam the student has probably done is they probably copied and pasted this from the internet and put it into their paper, word for word, and so that's a problem. So this is a pretty clear-cut case of plagiarism. Okay, have a look at this example. Okay, so once again, fairly straightforward. Sam the student has made a few changes to the original text. They've taken out the what the at the beginning, for instance, so there's a little bit of change there, and a couple of other small changes, but by and large, this is still nearly word for word, a word for word copy from the original text, despite a few small changes. So this is still a case of certainly inadequate paraphrasing, if you can really even call it an attempt to paraphrase. Certainly a case of where there's trouble with plagiarism here. Okay, so let's have a look at a sort of a variation of the same example. Okay, so we have a lot more changes, clearly. Many of the words have been changed. In fact, a few of the words are the same. You've got a couple of examples of ones that are the same. So is this adequate? Is this a good example of a paraphrase? Well, not really, because all they've done is they've sort of gone through the original and swapped out one word for another word. So you can see they've changed festival to event, really to inactuality, mid-level to middling, county fair to rural gathering. So what's been sort of preserved here is the structure of the original, and that is still a problem. And I think that's an area of misunderstanding. If you're preserving the structure of the original, that doesn't actually constitute a paraphrasing, and so we still have an issue of plagiarism here. Okay, so let's have a look at the next example. So this is a little longer. Once again, something where there's quite a few changes that's been made from the original. So Sam the student has made a fair number of changes, but again, where the structure is in crucial ways being preserved. So we can compare up here. It says so Hamlet depicts hierarchy, and then down here, so depicts becomes portrays. Hierarchy becomes chains of command. Social mobility becomes social movement, and then the play, the drama. So the words have been changed to synonyms. Even over here, hierarchy becomes not a single word but a phrase. Doesn't matter. The structure of the sentence is the same, and that same strategy has been employed throughout the passage. So when that structure is maintained like that, it doesn't really constitute paraphrasing, and we're in a situation where there is an issue of plagiarism. Okay, how about this one? Okay, so kind of a combination of approaches here. There's been quite a few changes made, and yet we still have some of the phrases from the original being preserved. So biological research model up here, biological research models down here. A slight swapping of on the other hand, where on the other hand it was at the beginning up here, and then the on the other hand is over there. There's still there's been a number of changes, and yet there's still certain structural issues that are similar, as well as some of the phrasing is similar. So we're still in pretty murky territory here. I would say that this is still an issue of plagiarism as well. You can see this is from a blog, right? So this is from an online source, and for whatever reason, a lot of people or some people seem to be under the impression that as long as it's not a scholarly source, then we don't need to maintain the kind of rigor in terms of paraphrasing or citation when it comes from an online source. But we really, really do. It doesn't matter what the source is. You need to be maintaining those high standards of rigor in terms of paraphrasing properly and citing it properly, even if it's not an academic source. Okay, so one last series of examples. This is the last one. So there's the original, and check out what Sam the student has written. Okay, so we're back to a fairly straightforward case of plagiarism. Not a whole lot has been changed with this particular text. There's a couple of changes in the middle here to the words, but then we've got a phrase here that is pretty much word for word the same as the original. So there's a few small changes, but if there's a phrase of 10 or 12 or whatever the word number is here, that's been reproduced exactly. That's a case of a poor case of paraphrasing, and it is in the end a case of plagiarism. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Okay, so we've got the same original passage, but Sam the student has tried again, and but we ultimately have, this is a case where there's been more changes made, but where we have the structural reproduction. So so experts have identified. So pointed to, identified. Range has been changed to variety. Key factors. Potential contributors. So the original was potential contributors. That's been changed to key factors. So this is a case where they've swapped out some synonymous terms, but where the structure of the passage has been maintained. Okay, final variation on this example. Okay, so here we actually have a case where this has been adequately paraphrased. So the sense of the original has been preserved, but it's been cited properly, but it's been paraphrased, so that not only the phrasing has been changed, but also the structure of the passage has been completely changed. So so this is an example of a passage that has been adequately paraphrased. So I hope that's been of some help. And